what's going on? This is Madam Anyone, and I'm coming back to you again. This is from 12news.com, and it says Phoenix woman with 5 kids evicted from her apartment. She says that due to the medical emergency with her son, she stopped working but still paid her rent. In April, she couldn't pay it anymore and she was evicted. The author of this article is Yolanda Garcia Espinoza, and it says a Phoenix woman is being evicted from her apartment after not being able to pay her rent for the month of April. She said she had a medical emergency with her son, who was in the hospital for about 2 months. She said she paid the rent for February and March, but couldn't pay for April and was evicted. Yolanda Cruz has 5 children, ages 17, 15, 13, 12, and 7. During the telephone interview, Yolanda explained that her son was shot on January the 24th and almost died. In ICU, had multiple emergency surgeries, had his tongue reconstructed, and survived. Her son is going through physical therapy and was released from the hospital. However, with the coronavirus outbreak, is one of the most high-risk persons. Yolanda said that while she was at the hospital, her landlord went there to collect rent money. She paid him February and March while her son was in ICU at the hospital. She cleaned houses for a living, and while her son was in the hospital, she was forced to stop working to stay with him. When Yolanda's son was better, she was going to return to work, but that's when restrictions were implemented and she couldn't return back to work. April came around and she didn't have a job nor money to pay the rent. The manager knew about my son and that I had lost my job. I asked for some time to find help. The council, the Mexican, okay, I see what that did. The council helped me and a friend of mine too, and I'm very thankful for that, said Yolanda. On April 7th, the manager was very upset and asked me for the money. I asked him for a couple of more days, and he said he was going to send me to court. And he did. Yolanda said on April 8th, she got documents to go to court on April 16th. She got to the courthouse early, but she said that since it was over the phone, she waited and couldn't hear anything and then heard some cases. But when her case didn't come up, she said her name, and the judge told her her hearing had already passed. Oh. That's terrible. That is terrible. Yes, and her 5 children were evicted in the middle of the world pandemic. Duce's order to prevent evictions for 4 months didn't apply to her because she wasn't directly affected to COVID-19. She was told while in court, "I'm exposing my case because I feel the manager was not fair. I see how many people are not being treated fairly because they are Hispanic. We have to share our story," she said. Yolanda had to put aside her emotions and her sadness, frustration to look for a place to go with her 5 children. In the meanwhile, friends set up and was for her to get sense. So many people have been wanting to help her. She's accepting Zelle's transfers. Yolanda Cruz, that is her information down there. If you want to email her, it's a very tragic story. It's very terrible that she had to go through this. She's just trying to survive just like everyone else. I don't think that her ethnicity should have played a part. It's especially going around not only in the U.S. but also in China, where Chinese people are torturing and beating people. Most Africans are not allowed to go into stores, and they're basically saying it's because of the Africans in China that the pandemic, it's just fear mongering and misinformation. And right now I think the overall sense is that people are trying to find someone or something to blame. So of course biases are going to come into contact with that. Of course people's beliefs, racism has always been a thing all over the world, no matter where you are. So I'm not too surprised. I do hope in the end that her and her 5 children will find a stable means to live, a roof over their head, and a continued speedy recovery to her son. Like I said, this is very tragic but not uncommon. Today, we have to take a step back and just look at the totality of everything that's going on in the world today and why it's going on. For every person that's out there risking their life, helping people, there are just as many people that are willing to, use it to their advantage, or let their prejudice and, bigots and, just rise at this time when everyone should be pulling together. I wish them all the luck and all the best. Please don't forget, you guys, just drop down in the comments. Let me know what y'all thinking about this story. Also, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. As always, it is Diamond Gang, and you know how we do this. We will return with the next story later.